Of course, the music is in the performance at all. It's not for the photographers to take good pictures or anything like that. It's more for the audience to just feel the atmosphere, or how to say.
We're here today with Ludvig from Forndom. Welcome.
Thank you.
You are playing with candles, with fire, playing acoustic shows. Is it the way to reenact, or is it just a reinterpretation acts of music that people were playing in the old times?
Well, the candles and all that kind of stuff is more to capture the atmosphere of the old, and I don't want this kind of light show because it feels so it feels just wrong in this kind of environment with this kind of music. So I like to do it more in a simple way, and of course the music is in the performance at all. It's not for the photographers to take good pictures or anything like that. It's more for the audience to just feel the atmosphere, or how to say.
You're paying attention a lot to dance atmosphere. You're playing with 9 candles. Has its spiritual meaning, 9 candles, like 9 realms, or is it something more?
Yeah, for me it's more about like a symbolic meaning for the 9 worlds. The number 9 comes again over and over within the myths. So for me it feels like the right thing, a good number to have.
Where do you think goes the line between music as a form of an entertainment and spiritual experience?
For me it's just to capture the atmosphere. It's not to make like a music experience just about the music, to just stand there with good lighting and everything. And neither it is to be like a ritual thing. It's more like a mix of the two, if you understand what I mean.
Well, I think we've captured a lot of this atmosphere you are talking about yesterday. So, but for you, because lyrics, themes, symbolics you are using around the Forndom are rooted in Norse mythology, folklore. Does it have a religious, spiritual meaning for you, or is it just culture, folklore?
Yeah, I would say it has a religious meaning. For me, it's the music and the lyrics is really much about. There's a lot of bands singing about Viking themes and maybe myths and such, but they just repeat like old things that is already written. They don't reflect on it by themselves, and I think that even if we live in modern times, we have to remember that these old myths and texts, it was just like things that someone wrote down. It's not like a holy script like the Bible. It's just things that people wrote down and reflected upon, and it differed between different parts of Scandinavia. So even if we have these Icelandic scripts preserved, the myths still existed in the rest of Scandinavia, but they differ in different ways. And you can see how the main parts of the myths, they remain the same, but maybe you wrote them down like in a different way. So my lyrics is more about to reflect upon these things and find out what they really want to say.
Like you said, there is a huge interest in this Viking era stuff, a lot of historic reenactment going on, but there is also huge interest, I would say, in ancient pre-Christian beliefs. Why do you think we have this renaissance going on right now?
I think it's a lot of because of the media. I mean, I think it all started to become really popular and serious in a way with the filming of the Lord of the Rings. Of course, that it was a fantasy, but it feels like it started around that those years. And then I think before that it was more like a, you know, this kind of sissy thing to do this stuff. But now it has become more serious and respected in a way. And then we also have this Vikings series going on. So there's a lot of this in the media that we think of maybe the Vikings as a really big and inspiring people, but maybe they were like more just like us and thinking in the same kind of ways.
So actually you could say the trend in pop culture started something serious here.
Yeah, I would say so, but in the same time it's also a thing that all humans do, and we have done in all ages, to go back to the past and to reflect upon it and think of it as something great. And it doesn't have to do with nationalism or something like that, but just to think of it as something inspiring, I would say.
Could you tell us more about the instrument you are using while recording Forndom music?
Nowadays, or in the past, I've used quite much ambient pads and such, at least in the first EP, but that was never like a serious thing, so I didn't really think that everything had to be perfect. But when it finally got serious, like in the last record, I used Harpa, for example, and I've also seen some comments that people think of this pluck instrument, but that's just an acoustic guitar actually, and then it's just vocals, and of course some ambient pads there as well. But in the future it will be much more acoustic, and I will leave the ambient sounds behind, and of course this will take more time to record everything and also to learn whole new instruments, because I'll probably use instruments that maybe people don't think so much as historical, but that if you use them in the right way you can still capture the right spirits. So I will use, for example, double bass to capture the depth, and then cello, and then also a lot of new horns and the flutes. In the future we'll hear much more acoustic sound, and I can understand that people maybe feel that it will be different, but in the same time I feel that I didn't start this project to make music for anyone else but myself. So I feel that the most important thing is that I feel comfortable myself with what I'm doing.
So are you going to continue your shows with only you on stage, or are you going to play with a band?
It depends. I mean, of course it's more fun to watch when there's a whole band and also to hear everything live. But for me, as I live so far out in the countryside, and the people who I play with usually they are spread across of Sweden, so it's a bit hard to rehearse. I also like to make things simple. I don't want to be this kind of problematic guy like, oh, we're 9 people coming to play, you have to pay for all of us. So I just want to make it simple, and if someone wants me to come and play, I just want them to have a simple option that I can come and play. Of course the sound will be more polished then, but yeah, for me it's the important thing is the atmosphere. So, but I can understand that people feel a bit disappointed when it's just me and all this background, but maybe in the future it will be more of live concerts with more of a band, but it will probably be in the next year. Until then I will do quite many solo shows till I feel comfortable with having a live band with my side. I have to feel that everyone else is making a good performance, that I don't feel that everyone else is ruining the performance, and I guess that I just have to become comfortable with that first of all before I start using a live band more.
Well, I wouldn't say people yesterday were disappointed with you. I'd say the opposite, but hypothetically speaking, leaving aside all these logistical troubles and so on, what would be the perfect setup for you during the live show?
I get really inspired by this thought of a great hall, an ancient great hall, and that's also why I use so little light to really capture this feeling. Of course, it would be nice to have a big fire in the middle of the room, but I guess it's quite hard. I like things when they're more simple, and I don't want, as I said before, have this kind of big light show. So the perfect would be just to keep it organic in a way. Maybe have some more things on stage, but of course it's quite hard to move things around, and especially when you travel by yourself.
Because time is rushing, I have one last question. Aren't you tired of that simplifying of northern mythology in Marvel films like Thor?
Yeah, I'm quite irritated by that. I hope that people are smart enough to figure out that that's not the real thing. I can't really help that people find that interesting or in any way, but I really hope that people find out that this is so far from the real thing that you can possibly come. It's a completely different thing. It's not even a fantasy thing, but it's, yeah.
So last but not least, it's been almost a year and a half since the release of your debut full-length album, and are there any plans for the follow-up?
Yeah, as I said, I will probably I have started to record a bit now, and I was actually planning to play a song yesterday, but I feel that as it is such a completely new thing, I want to wait until I have a couple of songs to not make this kind of big contrast. But the album will probably be done by the late summer and released by the winter sometime. So that's the plans. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.